All right, good morning. My name is Earl Lewis, R. Earl Lewis Jr., and I am the acting chairman of the Maryland Transportation Authority Board. I hereby call the meeting of the MDTA Board to order at 9 a.m. This morning we are having our meeting in person at MDTA headquarters. In accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being live streamed on the MDTA Board webpage. I would like to say welcome to the members and staff who are with us today. I would also like to welcome our retirees, Mr. Troy Palmer and Sergeant Rodney Windman, who will be receiving their retirement resolutions during today's meeting. For the record, I would like to state that members Dante Carroll, Cynthia Penny Artinger, and Lee Gaines are joining us today via conference call. As a reminder, I ask that anyone who is in the room with us this morning refrain from speaking unless you are presenting or answering a question to avoid background noise on the live stream. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media who have been pre-registered to comment at this morning's meeting. For those who are watching this meeting via the live stream, we have posted the materials for today's meeting on the MDTA Board webpage so that you can follow along if you would like. I would like to bring to your attention two presenter changes on today's agenda. Ms. Melissa Williams is unable to be with us today, so in her absence, Executive Director Will Pines will present agenda item number 7, approval Maryland 155 Bridge over I-95 dedication to SP4 Ronald A. Spudis. And Ms. Lillian Spedrak is also unable to be with us today, so in her absence, Mr. Takesti Amare will present agenda item number 9, annual update on facility condition inspections. We'll now begin with today's agenda. So agenda item 1 is approval of the open session meeting minutes of September 29th, 2022. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes?
Move for approval, Member Cox.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. All right. Agenda item number 2 is a resolution related to the years of service recognition by Will Pines.
All right, well, good morning, members, and also everybody joining us today. We're celebrating some retirements, which is always wonderful to appreciate the hard work and dedication of our employees for many years. I'm going to read the resolutions of the 2 retirements that we have today, and those will be recorded into the minutes of the meeting as well. So I'm going to start with Troy E. Palmer Sr. So whereas Troy E. Palmer Sr. began his career with the Maryland Transportation Authority as an MDTA Motor Carrier Inspector 1 on July 17, 1991, and an MDTA Vehicle Recovery Technician 1 on July 1, 1998. And whereas Mr. Palmer transitioned into the safety field and was promoted to Safety Management Representative 1 and progressed to Safety Management Representative 2 on December 13, 2000, and to Safety Management Representative 3 on September 13, 2001. And whereas he continued to build on his knowledge and skills, and Mr. Palmer was promoted to OSHA Compliance Officer 3 on July 1st, 2007, to OSHA Compliance Officer Lead on September 28, 2012, and to OSHA Compliance Officer on October 2nd, 2013. And whereas the determination and leadership, Mr. Palmer was promoted to a DOT Executive 4 on November 3rd, 2021, a position he held until retirement. And whereas he is an invaluable member of the team and his coworkers express the fact that his dedication, expertise, teamwork, and laugh will be missed, now therefore be it resolved, on the occasion of Troy Palmer's retirement from his distinguished career of exemplary service, the chairman and members of the Maryland Transportation Authority Board hereby express to Mr. Palmer their most sincere appreciation for his excellence and commitment. Be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the minutes of the MDTA Board meeting on this October 27, 2022, and a copy appropriately framed to be presented to Mr. Palmer as an expression of the MDTA Board's appreciation, and esteem. And we obviously have that resolution here, and we're going to just do a nice photo here with Troy. Eric, you want us back here?
If that's where you want to do it, okay, that's fine.
We normally do.
All right. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, and now for our second exciting retiree, we have Sergeant Rodney C. Widman. So the resolution states, whereas Sergeant Rodney C. Widman began his career with the Maryland Transportation Authority Police as an MDTA Police Officer 1 on May 10, 2000, and whereas due to his knowledge and determination, he was promoted to MDTA Police Officer 2 on May 10, 2001, to Police Officer Corporal on July 15, 2009, and to MDTA Police Sergeant on June 8, 2011, a position held until retirement. And whereas his co-workers convened their gratitude with a letter of appreciation for his commitment, dedication, and professionalism during the repair work and daytime closures at the William Preston Lane Jr. Memorial Bridge, noting he is an invaluable member of the team and his expertise and teamwork will be missed now. Therefore, be it resolved on the occasion of Sergeant Widman's retirement from his distinguished career of exemplary service that the chairman and members of the Maryland Transportation Authority Board hereby express to Sergeant Widman their most sincere appreciation for his excellence and commitment. And be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the minutes of the MDTA board meeting on October 27th, 2022, and a copy appropriately framed be presented to Sergeant Widman as an expression of the MDTA board's appreciation and esteem. So, come on up and do a photo. Yeah, go ahead.
He was my guy. We lost him. He retired. We got to celebrate him earlier this week.
Son, first cousin. Son McGuire is my first cousin.
Thank you. Congratulations. Enjoy.
All right, thank you very much. It's with sadness and with, happiness for them for reaching retirement that we let people, we do these ceremonies.
Start a new phase.
That's right, that's right. Somebody's gonna have to step into some big shoes. All right, agenda item number 3 is approval, Canton Railroad, approval of the Canton Railroad Board of Directors and appointment of proxy for annual meeting of stockholders of the Canton Development Company, Will Pines.
So this agenda item is to fulfill one of MDTA's responsibilities for the appointment of members for the Canton Railroad, and that's as our role as a stockholder. So I'm going to turn it over to Deb to actually present the details of this, and be happy to answer any questions when she's finished.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
For the record, I'm Deb Sharpless, MDTA's Chief Financial Officer. As you're aware, MDTA is the sole stockholder of the Canton Development Corporation, which has two subsidiaries underneath of it. John Magnus Canton's CEO and president, has provided us proper notice of their upcoming annual meeting of stockholders to be held on November 16, 2022. By the bylaws, the only matter in which the stockholders have authority to vote on is the election of members to the Canton's Board of Directors. And so at this time, we are seeking the MDTA Board's approval to appoint Mr. Stephen Kaufman. He was appointed prior. I've spoken with Mr. Magnus, Bill Hellman, who's the chairman of Canton, as well as Member Cox, who's the ex officio director for the Canton Board, and all three of them strongly endorses his continued participation. He's provided a lot of value to the board. He's active, engaged, and has been a real asset to the board. So that's the basis for us wishing to reappoint him. Now, normally, at this time in the past, two members have been presented to us by Mr. Magnus. At this time, we only have one member. So it is certainly possible that Mr. Magnus will come back and we will appoint an additional director board for Canton. And if he does so, then we'll come back to you for approval prior to taking any action. So I ask for your approval for the reappointment of Stephen Kaufman, as well as your allowing myself or designee to serve as your proxy and attend the stockholders meeting on November 16th at Canton.
All right, given that this is recommended by those who would know the gentleman very well, is there a motion?
I won't make a motion, but I can tell you that Kaufman's been very, very valuable member of our board at Canton. He is well engaged. He's an attorney, which is valuable to the board. He's also a CPA, which helps in the financial part of it. And as Seth said, he is very, very active and very productive as far as his involvement. Thank you.
Thank you. So do I have a motion to reappoint if we need one of those at this point?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Aye. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next agenda item is procurement-related approval of a contract award, BP 3017-0000, eastbound Bay Bridge deck replacement Phase 1, Package 1. Good morning. Got Takeste Amare, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, members of the board. For the record, my name is Takeste Amara, Deputy Director of Engineering with MDTA. This morning, I'll be presenting contract number BB 3017-0000, eastbound Bay Bridge deck replacement Phase 1, Package 1. Purpose of this presentation is to seek contingent approval to execute contract number BB-3017-0000, Bay Bridge deck replacement Phase 1, Package 1. The reason we're doing this project is because the existing deck of the eastbound Bay Bridge was installed as part of deck replacement projects in the 80s and 70s, and it has shown extensive deterioration. The deck requires major rehabilitation to remain safe and extend the service life of the bridge. The scope of the work included in this contract includes deck replacement and widening of the deck truss spans T14 to T22, utility relocations, and off-site stormwater management work. This is this contract is Construction Management at Risk, also known as CMAR contract, in which the contractor joins on board to support MDTA and the consultant in the design of the deck replacement because of the complexity of the project and large equipment involved in the construction. Previously, in June of 2021, the pre-construction services contract, which is part of this CMAR contract, BB-2726, was awarded to the contractor, and the contractor has been working with us on the design. This contract, BB-3017, is for the construction services package 1 to perform the actual construction work on the bridge. We had an independent cost estimator hired, and the estimate for provided by them was about $150 million. The guaranteed maximum price, GMP, for which the contractor proposed to do the work was $139.99 million. We performed detailed comparison between the independent cost estimate and the guaranteed maximum price, and also looked into the experience of the contractors. The joint venture of Kokosing and McLean Contractors is a contractor, and we are today seeking approval from the board to provide contingent approval to execute contract number BB-3017-0000. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple questions.
Yes.
When do you anticipate work beginning as we go through the process of this phase?
For the construction phase?
Yes.
So the scope of the work includes utility relocations, which will start early on by the end of this year. Major construction of removing existing deck and replacing them with new panels will start in fall of 2023, next year.
Okay. I know there'll be significant maintenance of traffic issues, but that goes with the territory, so.
So on this project, if I could just interject, we actually have presented the plan for this project at both the Bay Bridge Reconstruction Advisory Group and at both the Queen Anne's County and Anne Arundel County CTP meetings to make sure that the delegation is all aware of the plans that we have with this project. But it has been designed, if you guys recall, we had that right lane overlay project in 2019 that addressed just that one lane on the westbound Bay Bridge. This deck replacement is not like that project. That project had to install a barrier that completely closed the lane for an extended period. This work is laid out to reduce and minimize traffic impacts by having the work done overnights and to be able to reopen every day. That's more similar to the deck replacement that we did between 2007 and 2010 in our suspension span and through truss of the westbound bridge. And we've communicated that in detail to the locals through the CTP and BRAG, as I mentioned. So they are very supportive of that process and have communicated several times that went very well under the prior project. So this will not be like that right lane project that we know we heard a lot about. This will be much closer to the project that we had in the late 2000s.
All right, and this is the same contractor that was involved, contract team that was involved in the Flats project in 895.
Yeah, McLean
Yes.
did the flats for us, and also the joint venture are two of the parties that just helped us open the new nice Middleton Bridge as well.
Yeah.
So they have a great track
job,
record
yeah.
of delivering projects on schedule. So we feel good.
Even ahead of schedule.
And
So
even
that's
ahead
great.
of schedule, right?
All right. All right, well, thank you. Anybody else on the board have any questions, comments? All right, do I have a motion to approve this award?
Second?
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're on agenda item number 5, which is the approval of a conveyance, property at the Heat Center, MC number 22-7046. John Wedemeyer.
Wedemeyer, yep.
How you
thank
doing today, sir?
Good morning, members. For the record, my name is John Wedemeyer. I'm the real estate manager for the Transportation Authority. Today, I'm seeking your approval to convey the remaining interests that MDTA owns in the Heat Center complex off of Maryland 22 and Technology Drive. Based on a 2001 agreement with the City of Aberdeen, we agreed to convey a portion of the parking lot property to them for no consideration. They have requested that earlier this year, and we have assembled a plat to do that conveyance. The remainder of that property is currently under lease with Harford County, and we're proposing to convey that to Harford County for no consideration as long as they maintain the parking lot. So I seek your approval to do both of these conveyances.
Just curious, do we have I guess, a contractual relationship for them to maintain the parking lot?
Yes.
As part of it?
Yeah, that's part of the lease agreement
Okay.
that they entered into in 2014.
All right, fantastic. Any questions or comments on this from the board? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Second?
Second.
All right. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank
Ayes
you.
have it. All right. Next item on the agenda is item 6, approval of a land swap. Adelaide Capsa, 3510 Hawkins Point Road, MC number 22-7047. John?
Correct. This again is a land swap with our adjoining neighbors off of Hawkins Point Road that we are planning, the facilities folks are planning on building a new police academy on this location. In order to kind of clean up some property lines, we recommended doing this swap, and Allied Contractors, who is the parent company of CAPSA, has requested as well. Basically, back in 2001, we had SHA condemn Allied Contractors, and they were given a remainder of the property that wasn't needed for the virtual truck stop at that time. So what we're doing is cleaning up property lines so there's more of a division between us and our neighbors to build the police academy.
All right. Again, any questions or comments? Bill?
Moved.
All right, do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, members.
All right. Now we're on to agenda item number 7, approval of the Maryland 155 Bridge over I-95 dedication. Specialist Ronald A. Spudice, requested by Senator Castley of Harford County. Will?
Yeah, so good morning again. So this item is to present to the board for the board's approval under existing policy, the dedication of MDTA-owned MD 155 bridge over I-95 to specialists for Ronald Anthony Spudice. This dedication came at the request of District 4 Senator Bob Castley with support from District 34 delegates Mary Ann Lasante, Steve Johnson, and Susan McComas. Now I'm going to...
Yeah, I saw you also had a recommendation from County Executive Glassman, too.
Correct,
Yeah.
yep. A lot of support for this.
Yeah.
So. Specialist, read a little bit about the dedication here. So Specialist Ronald Anthony Spudice was born and raised in Harford County, Maryland. He joined the Army after graduating from John Carroll High School in 1968 and was deployed to Vietnam. He was killed in action in Vietnam on December 11th, 1971. For his heroism in action, he is awarded the Silver Star of Valor, Bronze Star, Air Medal, Purple Heart, and Vietnam Gallantry Cross. He is buried in Harford Memorial Gardens. And so based on his great esteem and the support to dedicate that overpass bridge, we are recommending to the board to approve this dedication.
All right, thank you. Sounds well deserved. Any questions or comments? Do I have a approval? Motion, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
I do have a couple of comments. The Sputis family, I'm very familiar with them. My brother was in his in the first graduating class of John Carroll with Ron Sputis. At John Carroll School, at every sporting event, they recognize and read the story of Ron Sputis. As a matter of fact, when the family had donated the flag from his casket to the school, and that is raised at every sporting event at John Carroll. So I'm very familiar with them. It's well-deserved, and I appreciate the board, or the MDTA considering this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, so we
I'll
got,
second member Bob Harris's, the Sputis family, just for the record, he's a nephew of former delegate, insurance commissioner Thomas J. Gator. And family is recognized in Harford County.
Very active. He's very active, and I'm
Happy to
second the nomination.
thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is item number 8. It's an update on the CTP process and any additions to that. Jean Marriott,
Yes.
good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. I'm here today to provide the board with an overview of MDTA's Consolidated Transportation Program process and an update on the additions to the capital program. This information was presented to the Capital Committee on October 6th. The final CTP to be presented for approval in November includes 4 new projects. First, the Maryland 695 ramps to I-95 northbound express toll lanes. This, of course, is part of the JFK Memorial Highway. The initial budget is for engineering only, $5.4 million. And this project will begin design work for adding ramps from eastbound and westbound Maryland 695 to the I-95 northbound express toll lanes. This will provide relief for the existing northbound ramps to I-95 that currently experience congestion at the merge point onto I-95. Also part of this project are stream restoration works. Next is to replace dynamic messaging signs and toll rate signs at various facilities. It's a multi-area project funded for $300,000 for engineering. This is a life cycle replacement that's backed up by inspections. The signs are approaching the end of life and need to be replaced. So some of the signs will be replaced with newer technology signs, and there may also be some signs at new locations. Third is the replace closed-circuit televisions at various facilities. That's a multi-area project, funded for engineering only at $150,000. This is also part of the life cycle replacement category. The TVs are approaching the end of life and need to be replaced, and as in the other project, some of the replacements will be a newer technology, and there may be some additional TVs added at new locations. And then fourth is the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel Lane Use Signals Extension, funded for $400,000 for engineering. Extended lane use signals are needed to provide advance notification regarding lane usage to safely transition motorists to the newly installed gates for lane closure at the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel. The gates and the lane use signals will work as a system and help with bore closures at the tunnel. Now, today's CTP process overview is a lunch and learn that was presented to MDTA employees in September. Maryland's Consolidated Transportation Program, what it means for MDTA. And at the Capital Committee, I went over every single slide. But today, I'm going to give a little bit shortened version, and we'll just focus on some of the key slides.
Makes sense.
So we'll start with slide that's on your page 51. The CTP is Maryland's 6-year capital budget for transportation projects. And I have listed here all of the agencies and authorities that contribute to the transportation projects for the state of Maryland. And the CTP is part of the state, I'm on page 52 now. State Report on Transportation has 3 pieces: the Maryland Transportation Plan, which is a 20-year plan, the CTP, which we're talking about today, and an attainment report, which is updated annually. On to page 53, the portion of the State Report on Transportation prepared by MDTA for projects at its facilities is a 6-year forecast that's updated annually, includes the draft and final CTP. The current budget year, we're in it now, a budget request year, and 4 successive planning years, fiscal year 25 through 28 on this particular final CTP. So what is a capital project? It's any project in which funds are expended for construction, reconstruction, or rehabilitation of a transportation facility owned by the MDTA. And a capital project must have a life of at least 7 years and cost $100,000 or more. So now we'll skip to slide on page 59 to see a timeline of how the MDTA prepares the CTP each year. Excuse me. On 59, we see the CTP development timeline. Starting only on the left, we see that it starts out by identifying the needs. So this is a really joint effort with many groups within the MDTA, the Office of Engineering Construction, the facility administrators, operations, the police, and the Department of Information Technology. And then after we get all that information put together, we prioritize the needs, and then the draft CTP is developed. And then in June, the draft CTP is presented for approval to the board and the committees. And that, after approval, is published along with the MDTA part of it is published with the other agencies in the draft CTP. And then after that, there's a CTP tour from September 15th to November 15th, where the Secretary of the Department of Transportation visits each of the counties in Baltimore City to present the draft CTP. And this is really important because it provides local elected officials and the public an opportunity to communicate their priorities and concerns in person. And of course, we do have a representative from MDTA, usually will, at every one of those meetings. So then we develop the final CTP and present that for approval in November. And after approval, it's submitted to TSO, and it's sent to the legislature, but it does not have to be their approval. It's just an information item for them. And the final CTP is published usually sometime in January. So we'll go to page 60. New projects originate from 5 sources: long-range capital needs, inspection findings, regulatory compliance, increased capacity needs, and local priority letters and legislative requests. I will skip to the slide on page 65. This talks about the project information forms. The Maryland Transportation Code requires that the CTP include a report that identifies each capital project and specified information about each major project in the development or construction phase is required. So all of this information is provided in the published CTP in the form of project information forms. Now, if we turn to page 66, we see the cover of the published draft CTP that's available on MDOT's website. And then on page 67, which shows up on page 477 on the MDOT website, is the cover page for MDTA's portion. And then on the very next page, there's a breakdown of the 6-year budget by project purpose. In the right lower corner, you'll see the total six-year budget, which is $2.6 billion. And then the next couple of pages are examples of some of the PIFs that were published with the draft CTP. And the first one is the Express Toll Lanes Northern Extension. I included this one because it's an example of a project that actually extends beyond the 6 years. If you look in that, the budget information, you can see that it has a 6-year total and then a balance to complete of $21.4 million. And then the next one on page 70 is the structural rehabilitation of the Millard E. Tidings Memorial Bridge. And this is one that was recently added to the construction program because the budget now exceeds the $10 million threshold. Next is the conversion to cashless tolling at the Fort McHenry Tunnel. So this is a project where the engineering is complete and the construction is underway. And then, of course, the nice memorial Senator Thomas Mack Middleton Bridge. Very happy to include this one. And the status says planning and engineering are complete. This is from the draft CTP. And of course, in the new one, it will show as open to service. And then the last PIF is an example of a primary development and evaluation program project. And it's the Tier 2 NEPA study for the Bay Crossing. And that was recently added to the D&E program. That was added in the draft. Then the next page is an example of a minor projects listing. They don't get PIFs because they're under the $10 million threshold. Then on page 75, financing the capital program. The most important thing, and something that a lot of people don't understand about us, is that we are solely financed by toll revenues. And I put a little list there of all the other money that gets split by the other agencies. So our funding availability is based on the 6-year financial forecast, and only those projects that the MDTA can afford to complete are included in the CTP. And then on page 76, the capital management and programming system. This is a new piece of software and that we've been using for the past 2 years that I think it took about 10 years to develop it. And all of the capital programmers were very happy to see this instituted, and the other users are coming along.
A lot of conversations would do it to get this done.
Big transition, but it is has really helped. And the thing is, it's just so important that we keep track of not only what we look at what's approved, but we have to keep track of what's going on in between your approvals. So it's very helpful with that. And I had some screenshots that were in the Lunch and Learn, but due to procurement regulations, I couldn't show those today. And then on page 77, CTP approval, the following changes require approval of the authority board. Additions or deletions of major and minor projects, cost, scope, and schedule changes to major projects, changes to levels of expenditure for non-construction phases, which includes the planning, engineering, and right-of-way phases. And so there is a very specific list of CTP changes that require approval by the board. And then on the next page and the next couple of pages after that are examples of the documents that I present every June and November to ask for approval of the draft and the final CTP. So if we go on to page 86 for a summary, it is the responsibility of the Division of Planning and Program Development to develop and continuously assess the short and long-term capital planning and programming needs that will assure the safe and efficient movement of people and goods traveling through the facilities owned, operated, and financed by the Maryland Transportation Authority. And this is an update item, so we don't need an approval, but do you have any questions?
Thank you for that great overview. And again, the MDOT CTP draft CDP that we're currently on the tour on will be the largest in the agency's history, $19.9 billion plus dollars. So, thanks to the federal government for in terms of helping some of the other agencies, with the IIJA funding, and we'll put it to good use, I'm sure. So, thank you for that overview for the authority.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Next item on the agenda is another update on the annual update on facility condition inspections. And thank you to Castea Amare is back. Thank you.
Thank you. I will be presenting the 2022 updates on the annual inspections on behalf of Lillian Sidrak, who could not be here because of unforeseen personal matter. I will mention the slide numbers and PDF pages as I go so you can follow up. So I'll start on slide number 2, which is on page 90 of the PDF. The MDTA Structures Inspection Program has a purpose that comes from the MDTA's requirement to make sure that our facilities are maintained in good repair, working order, and condition. We have a mission to provide safe facilities that keep traffic moving and instill public confidence, and also fulfill requirements. So there are federal highway requirements, the National Bridge Inspection Standard, and the National Tunnel Inspection Standard by law. We also have MDTA Trust Agreement requirements, which I will go over in a few slides. And we have our own MDTA Office of Engineering and Construction Facility Inspection Manual that we follow. Moving on to slide number 2, the MDTA Trust Agreement, Article C, Section 5.01 of the 10th Supplemental Trust Agreement dated April 7, 2021. By and between MDTA and the Bank of New York Mellon, the trustee notes that the authority covenants that it will cause independent engineers or engineering firms or corporations having a favorable reputation for skill and experience in such work to complete an inspection of the transportation facilities projects periodically in accordance with industry standards, and to submit to the authority a report or reports setting forth their findings as to whether the transportation facilities projects have been maintained in good repair, working order, and condition. Just a summary of the requirement. Moving on to the next slide, we'll go over what we did in 2022. We did a hands-on inspection of all workhorse bridges, about 300 of them, more than 300 actually, and small bridges or culverts. We also did risk-based interim inspections of signature bridges, tunnels, and other ancillary structures. Additionally, we did underwater inspections for the Nice Bridge and Tidings Bridge. Also, visual inspections of the roadway and traffic safety features. Next slide lists out all the type of data that we provided to different entities. So that's for your reference, so I wouldn't go over each one of them, and we'll continue to the next slide. What happened last year was a federal highway audit. So for the tunnels, there are 15 metrics for which we will be audited, and I will on the next slide kind of briefly discuss the audit. On slide number 7 is compliance audit, and the audit level could be intermediate or in-depth. And for last year, or year 2022, matrices 11 of 15 matrices were audits were performed on that, and the scoring system could range from compliant to non-compliant, and there are substantially compliant and conditionally compliant, scores as well. After the completion of the audit, MDTA received compliant in all metrics 1 through 15. So that was a good for us. Shows that we're following the National Tunnel Inspection Standards. Moving to slide 8. In order to achieve this, we have a large team. We have 5 contracts. We use independent consultants, so we have more than 150 team leaders. So every year we do training. The training includes any new updates, new technology, any new requirements, whether it's federal, state, or our own MDTA requirements. And we invite experts in different areas to give presentations. So also listen to the
So the inspectors
inspectors.
help us verify the state of good repair status
Yes.
of our infrastructure.
Yes, yes. So we have a good training that we do every year, and that's helpful. I'll go to slide number 9 and go over the major findings from our inspections. So for the workhorse bridges, overall, are in satisfactory condition. We have new bridges like the I-895 Canton Viaduct, along with the ramp to Holabird Avenue. We also have the Clayton Road. So we did inspection. So what used to be a poor bridge, the Canton Viaduct, is no longer poor. So we have no bridges in poor condition because of that. Typical defects, yeah. Typical defects include minor cracks, spalls, and steel corrosion on some bridges, which is common. But there are a lot of construction projects, rehab projects ongoing to address those. For small structures, our culverts are all in overall satisfactory condition. So we check the conveyance, making sure the drainage is passing through. We have some minor defects like inverse corrosion, debris, and some flow issues. But we keep an eye on those and use task orders as needed to address any issues. Moving on to slide number 10, risk-based inspections for signature bridges. Tidings Bridge is in overall satisfactory condition, with some minor bridge deck, defects and minor corrosion on the superstructure. There is a rehabilitation ongoing to address the bearing blocks and windshield devices, a major rehabilitation project, and we're doing some superstructure rehabilitation along with that. So it's a major bridge, so we're paying attention. Heron Bridge is in overall satisfactory condition. Similarly, there are some minor defects on the bridge deck, but overall is satisfactory. Move on to page 11, slide 11. The Key Bridge is in overall satisfactory condition. There are some minor defects, so I will not go over those, just for the sake of time. K-Truss also in overall satisfactory condition. Moving on to Bay Bridge in overall satisfactory condition. There are some moderate deck and parapet issues, corrosion in superstructure steel elements, and there are a lot of task orders ongoing on the Bay Bridge. It may not be visible, but we do a significant rehabilitation on these 2 bridges throughout the year. The Harry Nice Middleton Bridge, we did inspection on both the new and the existing bridge. So the new bridge inspection finds are being tallied, so we expect excellent or very good condition. But for the existing bridge, it's an overall fair condition. So there are some defects that we have to, see, keep it, safe until it's demolished and removed from our inventory. Moving on to page 13, the tunnels. The Baltimore Harbor Tunnel is in overall satisfactory condition. The Fort McHenry Tunnel is also in overall satisfactory condition.
It's good to hear. I go through the harbor tunnel twice a day, at least.
Moving on to page 14, ancillary structures. We have sign structures and all electronic tolling gantries. Overall, they are in good condition. And some other ancillary structures like low-level lights and camera poles are also in overall good condition. Slide 15, continuing with ancillaries, high-mast lights are in overall good condition. Toll plaza scales are also in overall satisfactory condition. I will conclude my presentation with a 3 pie charts which show the conditions. We use a rating system that goes from 0 to 9, 0 being the worst condition and 9 being the best condition, excellent condition. So as you can see, the deck, most of our decks are in good condition, close to 60%, and 30% in satisfactory condition. So good and satisfactory are the majority. So 87% is either good or satisfactory. Substructure on the bottom, it's 81% is either in good or satisfactory condition, so which is good. Superstructure, 78% either good or satisfactory. So the big news is we don't have any bridges which are in poor condition for any of the 3 major components of the structure. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Good news. Any questions?
Good.
Good. Mr. Chairman, I have a question. I know this is structural. This is structural inspections, and I mentioned this once before. A year or so ago, we had a fire over Moravia Road, and it wasn't a structural inspection issue, so to speak, but what are we doing to minimize our risk of products such as we had at that fire that caused that fire that damaged our infrastructure? What are we doing? Do we have an inspection program that covers that? And that might not be in your area, but I just want to feel comfortable that we have something going on to inspect, to kind of eliminate that risk or that we had with the fire over there at Moravia Road, where people have product, others have product underneath of our facilities.
Maybe you want me to take this one? Okay, so I'm going to take it, not because Takesta couldn't give a perfect answer, but just because it does span across several divisions that how we manage this. So during his condition inspections, and Lillian's condition inspections, excuse me, they do go out and note in the report what the conditions are underneath for stored materials and stockpiling and all of that related to the bridges. So that ends up in the inspection reports, and they do that monitoring. But inspections at that level really only occur like once a year, or at least through the duration of the inspection period, which isn't typically that long. So additionally, we do have an operating policy where under Joey and his team, they go out and regularly check the sites where we have known property owners underneath of our bridge. One of the challenges that we have is that typically bridge structures, it's the state would own both the roadway itself and then all of the underlying property. Legacy, the way that these facilities are set up, we have a number of property owners that actually own the fee simple property underneath of the bridge. We oftentimes only own immediately around the bridge piers itself. So we're working currently with Federal Highway. They've done some auditing overall of our system as well to kind of look at the risk profile. So we're working with them to try to come to a resolution on some of that. Certainly is very challenging. You know, I think you mentioned eliminate risk. I don't think we can eliminate, but we try to manage the risk effectively. We do have at certain facilities, if the materials are flammable, we do have some fire security type measures in place to be able to monitor that. And separately, the agreements that we have with some of the property owners have provisions about how close they're allowed to stockpile near the bridges, what kinds of materials can be there. And in the case of Moravia, unfortunately, that agreement provision was not followed. So it is an ongoing challenge. Our operational team and MDTA as a whole cannot be at those properties every second of every day. So we do the best that we can to manage the risk, but eliminating is frankly not possible.
Yeah, I think I use the word eliminate, and that's not a good word to use in this case, but minimize, or at least it's being checked and on a regular basis, and we're on top of it.
Yeah,
So
we do regularly perform routine inspections through our operations team, but you know, like anything in construction, when the inspector leaves, things happen. We try to make sure that doesn't happen. We have conversations regularly with the property owners so that they understand what our areas of concern are.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If I could too, I just want to take a second to thank Takesta. I started at MDTA as my first role was inspection manager here, and he came up behind me, took that role, and Lillian is now in that role. So I really know it's a very challenging role. You get all of the nighttime phone calls for the barrier impacts, the bridge impacts, the fires, you name it. So it's a handful of a job, and they do a great job. Deb and I talk a lot about with the board's responsibility for our finances and the fiduciary responsibility. It really relies heavily on us having reliable information about our conditions on our assets, and this team does a really good job so that we avoid surprises. And you can tell that even though our assets are old, we have about somewhere around close to 50% of our bridges are 50 years or older, and we're only designed for 50 years. And yet our condition ratings show, good and satisfactory ratings for the vast majority of the cases. And that's really a testament to the hard work of identifying the problems, getting it into maintenance programs, and putting a lot of good effort into system preservation. So I just want to thank Takesta personally, Lillian, and all of the OEC team for the great work that they do.
Yeah, I know one of the continual challenges we're going to have moving forward is that, 10 years ago, 1 out of 10,000 registered vehicles in the state were EVs, and now we're like 1 of 100. Just past 1% of registered vehicles. And I know when those vehicles have fire, they tend to take longer to put out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, the colonel is actually a subject matter expert on that. He's done some trainings related to that, and we've had some discussions internally about operationally leveraging that experience to do some trainings for our team to kind of get a good understanding of how to respond to those fires.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So actually, to follow up on that point, it's actually given the changing nature of the vehicles on the road, both commercial versus pedestrian, but then also the type of vehicles, that's going to change how we do what we do. How are we monitoring our system in real time? You do this is a point in time. I'm sure it's extremely cumbersome and time consuming, but how are we monitoring the infrastructure in real time? Are we using sensors and cameras and drones so that we can identify issues as they come about versus an annual inspection?
We try to use technology to the best we can. Installing sensors throughout all the assets probably may not be feasible you'll receive significant amount of data that you don't know what to do with, but we do it on a selective basis. We look at the assets, especially major assets like the pay bridge, suspension bridge, and things like that. So our use of technology, especially sensors, is based on testing them and then see how useful they are and then adapting. So we continuously look into technology and see how it fits with our existing inspection program. And we do it on a case-by-case basis, and whichever works, we will expand. That's yeah. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's how we.
Let me add.
approach it.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just want to add too that that's talking about structural health monitoring. So like our Chesapeake Bay Bridge has some systems that are just routinely monitoring things like our cable condition. We put that dehumidification system. We were the first in North America to do that to preserve the life of the cables on the bridge. And with that has some additional structural health monitoring. Separately from condition monitoring and health monitoring, we have our operational monitoring systems. We have weather gauges, all kinds of information about temperature conditions, all of that. And have Jeannie talked about it during the CTP that we are expanding our CCTV camera coverage throughout our system. We have on many of our facilities, we already have near 100% coverage to where if any incident happens, we're able to actually put eyes on it with our camera system to be able to see what's happening in real time. Along with our vehicle recovery unit, we're working on being able to install camera systems on the tops of their trucks so that when they respond to incidents, we'll be able to put direct eyes closer onto it with that camera coverage. So we are leveraging technology all over the place, both operationally and in terms of our condition inspections.
Even though we're probably 4 decades into it, we're still in the early years of the overlay of the digital world into transportation infrastructure almost universally. So I think as you move forward in time, you're going to have more sophisticated systems that we're going to be able to deploy, hopefully cost effectively, to do more real-time monitoring.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, and I think Jim Harkness, Chief Engineer, just trying to help answer Member Rosen's question. I think in terms of the technology we're using today versus what we see coming in the future, I think really there's a large potential for the use of the OEM systems that are in the vehicles now to really help infrastructure owners and operators in terms of getting a lot of data and actionable data. Right now we have our operations folks, our engineering folks, as well as the regular inspection teams that as part of their daily course of business will report on conditions of pavement, signs, other structures that they can visually see, whether lights are coming on or not. But in the future, we're looking at opportunities to team with these systems that are being installed and part of the operating system of vehicles as ways to capture that data and bring that data back to us so that we understand if a sign that was there one day is all of a sudden not showing up. It would essentially report that you may have a knockdown, something to go look at. If there was a bump that suddenly appeared one day and it's just that data keeps coming in, then it's something that we hope will be able to get into us and we'll be able to go out and see if, hey, something happened, the pavement unraveled a little bit. And so that's the kind of data we see as a potential in the future that we would be able to take good advantage of. Today, that kind of information would be very expensive to constantly do, so we've just sort of relied on the in-house observations.
Jim, if you wouldn't mind, could you also talk about the pilot that we did for CAV at the tunnel, just to kind of
so as part of some of that information, we had looked at deploying some short-range radio, DSRC it was called. We put that at the tunnels. We were looking at whether we could share information, how many vehicles were out there looking to exchange information with infrastructure. So we did that a number of years ago. We ran through that pilot. We wanted to get our feet wet, understand what kind of IT requirements are needed on the back end. And so we've had our, a little bit of experience in that. Back when we did that project, we weren't really sure where the industry was headed with this DSRC, which was short-range radio, or cellular. And, obviously 5G, 6G has the ability to support that data, and DSRC required a lot of investment from infrastructure owner-operators. So it's clear with the FCC ruling that we're going to be going the way of the cellular with this communication issue. So, we'll be starting to look at and deploy features that, can provide our customers with information or data about our systems. And in return, we're going to be looking to get some data back from them.
Okay, and are we exploring? When you talk about that, I think about Waze and how pervasive that is in Google Maps. There may be some type of relationship or partnership with commercially available apps and tools and so forth that are used to tie into our system. And I know we get access to some of that data already, but that could be helpful.
Right. So we do have, the MDOT has a Waze agreement. We try to partner with them, in order to exchange their user information and anything we can push out to them. We're further exploring that for work zones, particularly through smart devices that essentially will tell you there's a lane closure when we activate the arrow panel. We're looking at operation for that. Our gate systems will work and be available to ways to indicate that a gate is deployed. So we're exploring that feature and trying to fully flush that out and take advantage of that. And then, further coming along, we'll be looking at partnerships to get this data from these systems that are on board these vehicles that are constantly scanning and monitoring things, and see what we can get back from them.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a great time as we move forward to, putting tools together and processes and systems that help us manage our assets better, over time as well as in real time. And I know 5 years ago, Jim Ports and I started an asset management group inside MDOT and co-chaired that. And when he went to the authority, I continued to be the executive sponsor. And we've been really pushing hard to bring more tools to bear to help support management decision making and over long-term terms of capital allocation as well as real-time information and the tools all the way down to our folks in the field that help us manage our assets better, make better decisions, how we allocate assets, capital.
These guys coordinate phenomenally well. You can even tell by their tie choices today.
Yeah, you can tell by mine. The Ravens are playing today. The purple socks too. All right. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right. Thank you so much. That was great. All right. Next item on the agenda is item 10. Deborah Sharpless is going to give us an update on the fiscal year 2022 Independent Auditors Service Organization Control 1 and 2 reports. Good morning, Deb.
Morning, Ed. Okay, so I'll be presenting two items to you. Both of them relate to audit. The first one is the SOC 1 and SOC 2 audits. SOC 1 audits were performed for both CAPS and TransCore. SOC 1 audits are required for financial statement purposes. When you have a service corporation or company that provides critical financial data to you, they need to go through a SOC 1 audit. A SOC 2 audit only applies to TransCore. I would describe it as like a trust type of audit. They receive information that needs to remain for its intended purpose only. And so the SOC audit, 2 audit, helps make sure that they have procedures and corporate policies that, protects that data in order for it to be used for its intended purposes. So the audits were performed by SB and Company. Partner Bill Seymour presented to the Finance Committee this audit report earlier this month. So I'm going to jump down to slide 3. So the audit period was for fiscal year 2022. During the audit, they reviewed 11 control objectives for TransCore and 5 for CAPS. Unmodified opinions were issued, meaning that you can rely upon the data that comes out of their systems. The SOC 2 audit, same time period for TransCore, also had an unmodified opinion. Now, the first audit, the SOC 1, both companies had a handful of what we call exceptions. And when you do a SOC audit, there's no judgment associated with it. In other words, something can't be isolated or immaterial or anything like that. It's a yes or a no. This thing happened or it did not. So that's what is meant by an exception. And remember also, this was the first time they've gone through a SOC audit. So when you look at the findings, they are, from our perspective and from SB and Company, very insignificant. So let me get my computer to cooperate. Okay, so slide 6. It's a summary of results. So there you can see the different control objectives that were looked at and which areas identified exceptions. If we move forward, for TransCore, inventory management, 2 of the 4 monthly inventory counts were not reconciled. Also, we're transitioning, so some reports are still being finalized. The next one, access, they reviewed access and they make sure that only authorized people are allowed in the building and all that. The issue is that they didn't retain that documentation of those reviews. We have their SOPs, we can see that they did it. So this is just a documentation issue. Security awareness. TransCore has security awareness both at the Maryland office as well as at a corporate level. So in this situation, every user tested had gone through security training at the TransCore corporate level. The 4 at the Maryland local had gone through the security training, but their form was not signed. So we don't have a situation where people did not go through the training. It's, again, a documentation. Access. So the next has to do with access, and they were for new hires. The supervisor or manager wasn't specified on the documentation and approval noted. And in that situation, TransCore has a lot of people that will fall into the same exact user class. So if you're a customer assistant representative, your access is exactly the same as the other 100+ people that serve that same role. So that's what happened there. So moving to the next slide with CAPS. One account had a default administrator rights. They corrected it immediately. That was carryover from going live, and that access just wasn't changed. They did look at the account, see what was done. Everything was fine. Passwords, they had to tighten a little bit there. They did so to comply with IT policy. Change management. Developers had the ability to deploy changes to production environment. Again, that was a carryover from going live. And then human resources and documentation. There was a documentation item. Okay, and then again for the SOC 2 audit of TransCore, there were no exceptions at all identified. So all in all, very, very good audits and results for both companies. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Fantastic.
Okay, so,
Anyone have any questions? Thank you, Deb.
yeah, so.
All right. The next item on the agenda is also Deb Sharpless. Item 11, fiscal year 2021 single audit report.
Okay, this audit was performed by Clifton Larson Allen. They are also the auditors for our financial statements. They will be at Finance Committee in November to present the fiscal year 22 year-end financial statements. So this audit, single audits always lag behind. Single audits have to do with the use of federal funds. If you receive federal funds over a certain threshold, you have to have a single audit. The TIFIA loan that we have, that is considered federal funds. So that absolutely puts us over the threshold. So,
Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, on TIFIA loan, I know that obviously it took a while to get it obtained, obviously, but I understand maybe someone else can inform us that they might be changing the type of loans coming out of the Transportation Trust Fund out of the federal government. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not.
Anybody heard? Okay.
I have not.
I just, I knew that there was some talk of it. Okay,
but-
thank you.
No, we'd be happy to look into that and get back to you on that one.
Tiffy and Pabs, and it's
Yeah.
pretty much,
Yeah.
just the type of loans coming out of the federal government.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any changes.
Yeah, certainly with IIJA, there were a lot of new grants and new funding opportunities. It's probably likely that there was some extending of the TIFIA program, and I'm not sure if there were any changes, but we'll be happy to
Yeah, I
review
know there
that.
was, for like, Tiffy and private activity bonds, more authority.
Right.
Because they've been running out of the authority to issue those.
Right.
And we need to increase dollar values. I would assume they're doing that.
Yeah.
But I haven't checked into that. That's a good question.
Yeah. So, yes, but we're happy. Our TIFIA loans executed, and yes, documentation submitted. We have not drawn yet intentionally. So we will wait to draw until we have to, which reduces our carrying cost. So we're being able to leverage the loan the way that we had all intended to. Okay, so we also received some grants, and single audit also applies when you're a subrecipient, and usually that's what we are, as a subrecipient of grants. Police grants are an example. And so we had one finding, first time with this finding, it's being addressed immediately. And basically, what's required is an inventory records of equipment that was bought with confiscated asset funds. So now confiscated assets can be used more than just for equipment. So this is like a subset of those funds that was specific to equipment. We did not have separate records, where we could turn around and print them and say, here you are, Mr. Auditor. As an agency, we maintain inventory records collectively across all of our facilities, but we did not have records separated out just for confiscated assets. So we have records of acquisitions, records of disposals, the team's in the process of, doing, creating the records of, all of the equipment bought with assets. We'll do an inventory, and they'll be completed fairly quickly. So that was the finding, and as you can see in the response, we agreed, and plans are well underway to do it. Okay, that's.
Any questions for Deb on this one? Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Item number 12, the Executive Director's Report. Will?
Good morning again, board members. As of October, and now that that's ending and we're heading into November, MDOT's 2022 Consolidated Transportation Program, or CTP Tour, we talked about it earlier with Jeannie. That's also coming to an end. The last CTP meeting will be held on November 4th. This year's CTP Tour meetings provided an excellent opportunity to provide state and county officials with updates on our projects and to remind them that the civil penalty waiver grace period is ending on November 30th. And we used every opportunity that we could to encourage them to alert their constituents to pay their tolls and not wait until it's too late, and to take advantage of that civil penalty waiver grace period. So we, along with all of the other marketing and different things we've been doing for the program, we made that an integral part of the CTP to keep the elected officials all up to speed with that. I want to take a moment to thank Melissa Williams, MDTA's Director of Planning and Program Development, for representing the MDTA in my absence at a few of the CTP meetings. And I'd also like to thank Brad, Ryan, and Selena for organizing materials for me at each of the counties. Really great job, and I always felt well prepared thanks to all three of them and the great work that they did. Also, MDOT recruitment efforts have been in high gear this past year, and here at the MDTA, we recently held a successful hiring event for facility maintenance technicians, both at the ICC and the Bay Bridge. I've had the pleasure of welcoming many of the new hires at our new employee orientations. And later today, we have another hiring event that's scheduled at our John F. Kennedy Highway facility. So we're leveraging these large events to really turn out great recruitments, and it's really helping to move things along with some of our vacancies. To further expand MDOT-wide recruitment efforts under Chairman Port's leadership, all MDOT TBUs have signed on to the challenge to expand apprenticeship initiatives in their agencies. At MDTA, we're focusing on apprenticeship efforts on hard-to-fill positions, primarily in skilled trades classifications like electricians, HVAC, and plumbing, and also heavy equipment mechanics like diesel technicians. The facility maintenance technician is also a position that is under consideration. That is we have so many of those that it's worth trying to move forward on that. The Maryland Department of Labor is leading the statewide work group, Apprenticeships in Transportation, under Senator Rosa Pease' leadership. We also have Daryl Campbell, our career counselor in Human Resources and Workforce Development, has been designated as MDTA's point of contact for this initiative. Daryl has contacted our regional apprenticeship navigator, who will navigate us into launching our own apprenticeship program. The Secretary's Office has created an MDOT Apprenticeship Initiative Work Group team led by Frank Barber, Organizational Development and Training Manager for them. This work group is focused on providing a comprehensive report to the Maryland's Department of Labor on the following categories. It's classifications and positions where apprenticeships could be established, identifying hard-to-fill positions, identifying the vacancies within those specific classifications, the time to fill in these positions, and turnover rates in these areas. The work groups will target and focus on high schools, vocational technical schools, county and community college, and Job Corps training centers to reach students early and provide information on MDOT and careers in the skilled trades. Our next event is being held at a family night on November 1st at North County High School in Glen Burnie for students, parents, and members of the community to promote MDOT and MDTA careers in the skilled trades. And I had a really great opportunity myself to join the kickoff event for this. Had a lot of media there, a lot of great partners, including some of the Anne Arundel County schools that I had a great opportunity to talk to them about how we can get folks in the skilled trades. While there's a lot of jobs at MDTA that require college, we also have really worked hard to create more opportunities for folks that do not need a college degree. And so this kind of program just taps into all of the folks who want to have that professional career in the skilled trades.
Oh, yeah. Senator Rosa Peck was a great sponsor for that, and as probably many of you know, Secretary Jim Ports is a very big advocate. He was probably of all the state secretaries the most enthusiastic about starting the apprenticeship process. Above and beyond all of his talents that you've all seen before, he's also a licensed pipe fitter, so you probably know.
Yeah.
So Jim's really an advocate for apprenticeships, and you don't always need to have a college degree to be successful. As we know, we have lots of jobs that we need to fill that don't require college. We should get the word out that there are other ways to be successful.
Yeah. And this past month, on October 5th, the Bay Bridge Reconstruction Advisory Group, BRAG, held its quarterly meeting in person. The meetings follow a standard agenda which consists of reporting of quarterly group activities from those BRAG members, MDTA and also MDOT SHA updates. They also talk about unfinished business and new business. At this last meeting, Jim Harkness, our chief engineer, provided an update on MDTA's Bay Bridge projects, including the project that you approved today, as I mentioned earlier, that eastbound deck replacement. Melissa Williams, MDTA Director of Planning and Program Development, also provided an update to the BRAG on our Bay Crossing study, the Tier 2 NEPA. During the new business portion of the meeting, there was a lot of great discussion, including on the BRAG members' support letter to Governor Hogan for his announcement on that Tier 2. The BRAG has been very supportive of advancing that Tier 2 study, and so we had some good discussion on that. The next BRAG meeting, if you want to tune in, they're all live streamed. That is scheduled for Wednesday, January 4th at 6 p.m. So the MDTA also celebrated two really significant accomplishments in October, both of which Governor Hogan and board members were able to participate in. On October 12th, Governor Hogan led the ceremony to dedicate the new $463 million Governor Harry W. Nice Memorial Senator Thomas McMiddleton Bridge. The new span fully opened to traffic that evening. Governor Hogan, in his remarks, thanked the MDTA and crews and construction workers who worked day in and out, including during the COVID pandemic, to deliver this incredible new structure on budget and 3 months ahead of schedule. Thanks to the actions of this board, we have delivered a wider and safer bridge to the traveling public. This new bridge is the work of a terrific team that included our federal partners, local officials, our MDTA staff and consultants, and the Skanska Corman McLean joint venture team that designed and built that great bridge. The new 4-lane Nice Middleton Bridge replaces the existing 2-lane undivided highway, which it had previously 11-foot wide lanes with no shoulders, and now the new bridge has 12-foot wide lanes, center median, 2-foot shoulders, and something that many motorists have commented that they appreciate, a 42-inch high concrete median barrier that protects motorists against head-on collisions. The new bridge doubles the capacity, improves safety, and enhances emergency response and maintenance and inspection activities. The new bridge design also includes more than $2 million in features to accommodate lane sharing for bicyclists who will be able to use the bridge in early 2023. Following the ribbon cutting ceremony, Governor Hogan rode in a yellow 1948 Ford Super Deluxe convertible, reflecting the era when the original bridge opened in December 1940, and led a procession of vehicles from the Maryland shore to the Virginia side, and then back again to mark the inaugural crossing of the new bridge. Former Senator McMiddleton, Secretary Ports, Member Carroll, representing the MDTA board, and myself were part of that procession over the bridge, and it was really a great honor. We did have all of the members who were able to drive over had an antique vehicle, except I drove in one of the state's EV cars because we wanted the then and now, just like we had the then and now on the bridge. So really great event, and I want to thank all of the board members who were able to attend this great event. And again, I want to thank everyone who had a hand in designing, building, and opening the new Nice Middleton Bridge. 3 days later, on October 15th, Governor Hogan and Secretary Ports joined MDTA board members, MDTA employees, and county officials at the groundbreaking for a new, nearly $85 million interchange at the I-95 and Belvedere Road in Cecil County. A $20 million build utilizing investments to leverage development, or build transportation grant, was awarded by the US DOT to Cecil County in 2018 to support this new interchange. The new interchange will provide access to and from Belvedere Road, reduce commercial traffic on local roads, enhance safety, and promote economic benefits and jobs to the regional community. This project will replace the existing 2-lane overpass bridge on Belvedere Road with a wider structure featuring additional lanes and shoulders to accommodate that new interchange. Ramps in a cloverleaf pattern will provide access to and from Belvedere Road, from both the northbound and southbound 95, and the work includes improvements to both Belvedere Road and also to accommodate that interchange and larger bridge. Interestingly, for this interchange, the exit number for the new I-95 interchange will be exit 95, so it feels appropriate. The project is a partnership between MDTA, Cecil County, and the Stewart Property Management, Inc., in coordination with Federal Highway. The new interchange is anticipated to open to traffic in 2025. Looking ahead to November, we're preparing for the Bay Bridge Run, which will take place on Sunday, November 13th. In cooperation with Anne Arundel and Queen Anne's counties, we are accommodating the Bay Bridge Run on Sunday, November 13th. And so what does that mean for our motorists? The eastbound Bay Bridge will be closed to traffic on that Sunday from approximately 12:01 a.m. to 2 p.m., weather permitting. The MDTA will have two-way traffic operations in place on our westbound bridge. One lane of traffic will operate in each direction on the westbound span, with the center lane closed to traffic, and that kind of creates a buffer during that time period. The center lane may need to open at times to provide intermittent relief to westbound delays during that time. Like last year, Corrigan Sports is the organizer of the race, and it's not just for runners. This is also has walkers are encouraged to participate. The board may be interested to know that the Bay Bridge Run is a cupless race. It's good for our bay, the environment, and safe for runners. A cupless race means that there's no paper waste from cups between the start and finish line, which you'll often see typically in race events. There will be water available at the starting area on the course, and there will be self-serve refill stations that can also be accessed at two locations during the route. And obviously, I was looking at my own ticket sign up, and I saw they have a big beer event at the end as well, so there'll be plenty to water and other festivities to drink related to the run. So with that, it concludes my remarks. I'm happy to take any questions that the members may have.
Does any member of the board have any questions for Will?
Are you in the first wave?
No. Sorry.
All right, anything else? All right, well, thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Appreciate that report. All right, now, agenda item 13. We have now reached the closed session portion of our agenda. This closed session is scheduled for the board members and designated staff. For those persons in this room and on the live stream, as soon as we have completed the closed session, we'll come back to this room to ratify any actions that might be taken in closed session and to continue with the remainder of the agenda in open session. We appreciate your patience. Per the Maryland Open Meetings Act, the MDTA Board will meet in closed session under the General Provisions Article, Section 3-305B, 10, and 12, to receive an update on deployment of police staff and resources and other security measures, to discuss pending investigative proceedings involving possible criminal conduct, and also Section 3-305B8, to receive a status update on all litigation currently pending against the MDTA. So, members, is there a motion to go into closed session? Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so at this time, approximately 10:34 a.m., we will now go into closed session. There it is, oh, he's there, okay, all right. All right, well, good morning. The time is now 11:35 a.m., and the board has completed its closed session. There were no actions taken in closed session that require ratification. At this point, I don't believe we have any other items on our agenda.
I'll move for adjournment.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you, everyone.